Okay. Um, yeah. So let me answer your questions. I did an AMA on Instagram, because I'm always talking about me, and I don't leave any room for you to ask me any questions that I get to answer publicly, unless you're calling me racist in a basement. But okay, let's take a look. So I said, ask me any of these questions. Ask me anything. Ask me anything. I'll answer it on the podcast. Favorite Prince album compared to favorite Michael Jackson album? Damn, that's a good question. There's really no beef there between Prince and Michael. Prince listened to Michael's music. Michael listened to Prince music. I gotta say that last Prince album was pretty good. The one where it was pretty obvious he was on a lot of drugs. I mean, not that I hold that against him. He didn't really know he was on fentanyl. Although my guess, Prince and Michael kind of went out the same way, for different reasons. The best Michael Jackson album is Off the Wall, for sure. That's just a masterpiece. Nothing beat it. It was his first, and Thriller, like, commercially did the best. But Thriller was so commercially good that people forgot how good Off the Wall is. But that's because you had Stevie Wonder and Paul McCartney and Rod Temperton. All these dudes were writing songs on Off the Wall that were great. Compared to I don't know, Purple Rain is a classic Prince one too. I think those two are really their masterpieces. Like, Purple Rain movie sucked if you get a chance to watch it. It's like such a fun, horrible movie to watch. But I'd say Purple Rain and I'd say Off the Wall. Just because, like, and that's not even Prince's first album. His first album, I think, is just called Prince. Where the one where he has his mustache and the hair. I wanna be your lover. Oh, I wanna be the only one you worry about running. And then he has a voice like this. Hello, how are you? My name is Prince. I'll be your captain for this evening. First thing I'd like to do is build you a sandcastle made out of Play-Doh. We'll call it a Play-Doh sandcastle, baby. But you believe that with Prince. Michael was just always like, it was either the it's repressed, but then you see him in interviews and it's all up here, and you can't picture a guy like this getting ass. But I guess he did. He's a king of pop that pussy. Which answers the next question. Can you sing on the pot? I think I just did. You're welcome, or I'm sorry if you've probably turned this podcast off already. Okay. Let's see. Do you like the Smiths? What Smiths? Will? I used to. I still like Will Smith. Will Smith I would love to have on the podcast. Or the band. Is there a band called The Smiths? Let me see. Damn, I'm so out of touch. Everyone was roasting me for my Spotify rap because it's all songs from the 2000s. But, like, dude, fuck you, man. That's the early 2000s are my 80s. That's what I grew up with. And I listen to a lot of it at the gym. And it's not like I don't listen to any other music, not like the Smiths, which I obviously do not listen to. I don't have any Smiths songs on my playlist, but I'm going to put some on right now. The Smiths, these are an interesting looking group of dudes. These guys look like they were the outsiders, but that they also worked at the steel mill, and they kind of they could be British, or like they could go home and beat their wives. If you look up the picture of the Smith on Spotify, the Smithers, who is that band? That's the Smiths, sir. The Smiths, eh? Yes, sir. They have songs such as The Charming Man, Heaven Knows, and Back to the Old House. Back to the Old House, eh? What kind of music does this file under, Smithers? Person during this impression hasn't scrolled far enough to find out any information on this band, sir. I see, Smithers. They have 9 million monthly listeners. That's very good compared to Morrissey. Oh, Morrissey is in this band, Smithers. Okay, there we go. I don't know the Smiths, but now I consider myself to be a Smiths historian. Do you like green eggs and ham? Wow, these are just incredible questions. I feel like I had a conversation with Tori about green eggs and ham. That it was maybe that green eggs and ham felt like a metaphor for pegging. But I guess, like, the moral of the story of green eggs and ham is to try something. Don't knock it until you try it, and you might like it after somebody repeatedly steps in your comfort zone and makes you feel uncomfortable. If you initially give in their peer pressure, you might try something and then like it. Which I guess, I mean, that's good old American pegging, baby. That's my answer on green eggs and ham. Who is the best Batman in my opinion? Well, it's not just because he died, and I've said this a bunch before, but Kevin Conroy for sure. Uh, Best Batman movie. I'm sorry, The Batman. And that's coming from somebody who loves The Dark Knight. But you got to realize The Dark Knight has no plot. There's like 10 times where that movie could have ended. And you just sit there and let Heath Ledger mind trick you into thinking this movie was worthy of an Oscar, which it was for his performance, without a doubt. Whether he died or not, he changed things forever. He was so good, it made you forget about the bad voice, who I think Christian Bale's one of the best Batman ever do it. When it comes to his physique, when it comes to his Bruce Wayne, nobody ever did it like you, Christian. But you really have to say the best Batman of all time is Kevin Conroy. He was just the greatest. I'm not even doing him justice by this Batman voice, but Kevin was just the best. He's the voice I hear when I read comics. The animated series, Batman the Animated Series. I mean, that's it. 1989, even though everybody thinks Michael Keaton is the best Batman, which, I mean, it's okay. It's he's one of the. Adam West was supposed to do that part. Great Scott, you wouldn't hit a guy with glasses, would you? Said, I won't work with these guys. Yeah, it's me, Michael Keaton. Everything I do, top of my mouth. Well, Adam West apparently once went to an orgy in the 60s where he got kicked out because he was stuck in character as Batman. That's horrible, Adam West, but that's one of my favorite stories. They're all great, except George Clooney. When was the last time you cried, and what was it over? That's a good question. I'm not really sure. Macho Randy cries all the time, and I'm not saying it's not cool not to. I just can't think of the last time I cried. I think I might have teared up a little bit last night. Not for any sad reason. Because I didn't look at the views of the TikTok. And then somebody was like, you have like 30 million views. And the person who said that to me was kind of drunk. And I was like, yeah, whatever, man. There's no 30 million views on anything. And I looked up TikTok, and I had 30 million views on that last video. And that made me tear up a little bit just because it was nice to have that, I like once in a while I'll start thinking back to when I was young and I started out doing stand-up and sleeping on the train and, I just kicked the camera. Damn, I'm fucking my shit up. It was just nice to see that 30 million number. That was the last time I cried. But I do cry a lot. I cry a lot at movies. Movies a lot because I think that's usually that Regal app. I have the Regal app, so I go all the time. But you could use movies as life replacements, and I cry at movies. I cry a lot when I read some comics too. If you didn't think I was any more of a bitch, what's your go-to show to binge watch? What am I watching right now? I don't really. I'm out. I just got Showtime. Showtime has mad documentaries on. I just watched one about Bill Cosby. I hope he dies soon. I watched one about Ronald Reagan. He is dead, so that's good. I'm thinking about doing some merch that says Reagan for hell. But I like to try to, because here's the thing, like I read way too many comic books and I watch way too many superhero movies and TV shows. And I love TV. I love movies too. I waste a lot of time. But when I get a chance to binge something, I try to binge a shitload of docu-series, so with the subtitles on, so it feels like I'm reading a book. That's what I've been into lately. I just watched one about the Reagans. Shout out Nancy Throat Goat. And Ronald Reagan is burning in hell thanks to wanting to have just a little bit of government. It's kind of funny that Ronald Reagan got shot because somebody wanted Jodie Foster to give her some ass. It's a very funny story. Long story short, I think I've talked about this on a podcast a lot, and I'm sorry if you have to sit through this sentence again, but I love telling this story. I love telling it. There's a movie in the 70s with Robert De Niro called Taxi Driver. And in the movie, De Niro plays this basically, if you haven't seen Taxi Driver but you've seen The Joker, that's what they base Taxi Driver off of. De Niro plays this mentally deteriorating loner who just is living in his own fantasy world, and Jodie Foster plays a child prostitute, and he saves Jodie Foster after killing a president to try to impress this other girl. This guy was running for president, and De Niro tried to kill the guy running for president because the girl he wanted to fuck worked for that president, and she left him, and then he was trying to impress her, so he thought he should kill her, the guy, and he's in a really bad mental state. Whatever, long story short, Jodie Foster's in it. She's like 12. It's her first movie. She plays a child sex worker. This guy named John Hinckley Jr. was he had mental problems. A lot of mental problems. And his parents kind of wrote him off because it was the 70s and we just didn't have time for that. And he based his whole personality off of De Niro's character in Taxi Driver, and he was obsessed with Jodie Foster, and he was stalking Jodie Foster, and Jodie said, "You're taking it too, Foster," and restraining orders and all this other stuff, and he based his whole personality off De Niro's character. And then he decided he had to kill Reagan to get Jodie Foster on. This guy, John Hinckley Jr., the crazy dude who wanted Jodie Foster to be in love with him, decided he had to kill Ronald Reagan for that to happen. And he shot Reagan a couple of times. And they didn't really go into that in the documentary. But if you want to watch a documentary and you want to know more about what happened, now you know. Why is Mike Favre your favorite comedian? I'll tell you, goddammit. Mike Favre is just one of my favorite people on the face of the planet. He is, first of all, a huge Michael Jackson fan, so him and I, we got that hooked up immediately. Sorry I'm drinking so much water on this podcast. I just brushed my teeth because I didn't want to smell my own breath over here. Mike Favre, shout out Mike Favre. You're my favorite comic. I love you to death. The hustle doesn't stop with you, and you are you're a god among men, my brother. Am I hiring? Do you need another dog? I could bark. Oh, my God. I'm calling the horny police on that one. Favorite Pokemon. I never got into Pokemon, which is weird when you hear me just go into great detail about different nerd shit, but I never really got into it. But I'd say, I guess you don't have to be that into it to be into Pokemon. Okay, I'd say my favorite Pokemon is Ringo. That's definitely one. Favorite snack. Pussy! Favorite album of the year? That's a good question. Let me see. Off the top of my head, I don't know if you mean favorite album that came out this year, but let me see what albums I have on here, because I feel like there was a couple that I connected with, but I really couldn't. Oh, you know what it was? It's not a new album, but the album that really got me through this year was the Epantomation of Mimi. That was... That was I was a kid when that came out, and I just discovered it through Shake It Off. That ended up being one of my top songs on Spotify this year. And man, that whole album just killed. Nobody. I think Mariah Carey has more singles than anybody else on the planet, right? It's like Mariah Carey, Elvis, the Beatles, and Michael Jackson. I want to say. I feel like I'm missing somebody else on that album. But what celebrity men do you think wear hairpieces? Harry Styles. Jimmy, any of the ones named Jimmy, really. You have to think about people who were either child stars and then grew up in the public eye and kept working because they were good looking and not because they got creepy looking. So it'd be really hard to lose your hair and then have to adjust. At least Ron Howard just called it quits early on and he put on a hat after Happy Days, and nobody ever saw the top of his head again. But there's a lot of celebrity men that probably wear hair pieces that I don't want to call by name because I probably will work with them one day, and also I might need a hair piece one day too. Although every time I go to the barber, I'm like, be honest with me, is it gonna happen? Am I gonna go bald? And he goes, no. Now sit your head back and open that pretty little mouth of yours. That's what the barber says every time. It's weird. I didn't know that was part of getting your hair cut. What were your thoughts when that lady heckled you? Look, all right, here's the thing. I want to be very clear about this. I was not mad at this woman at all. I was mad initially when it started off in the clip. You probably saw. She was I couldn't tell if she was drunk. I couldn't tell if she was genuinely upset. She just kept she was yelling at me. So yeah, I screamed, "Shut the fuck up." I do that a lot, but you can't do it a lot during a set. You can do that once. It's like a musket. You fire it once, and then if they don't shut the fuck up, you have to, then talk and reason. And performing is listening more than it's talking. So I just wanted to listen to her to see what I said to set her off. Became very clear that I said nothing to set her off, because the things that she was saying to me had no connection to the jokes I was doing. And then come to find out, if you go on my Instagram or on my TikTok, my Jared Waters, who's been on the podcast before, you should go back and listen to his episode, by the way. It's one of my favorite episodes we've done on this show. Jared met up with that woman, and she found out I was mixed. And after accusing me of being racist, she was she was embarrassed and sad. And I think she herself was mixed, and her kids are mixed, and whatever. There's no hard feelings. I have no hard feelings about this woman. I should thank her. Because it went well for me. But like, I don't even look at those numbers, because you live by the number, you die by the number. But my thoughts on this whole situation is, I didn't want her to get kicked out. I never want anybody to get kicked out during a comedy show. People need to go to comedy shows. People need to laugh. It's something that we don't do enough, and it's the only thing. Comedy shows like one of the only thing where you put your money down and you guarantee a good time, and it's like the only drug with no hangover. So I never want people to get kicked out, and I never want them to get kicked out on my behalf. But that being said, don't heckle somebody that's being paid to be funny. That's the least cocky way I could say, don't fuck with me. Fuck around, then you find out, baby. Just have me Skype in. Jess, I do have to get you Skyped in. Jess Burbank. I love Jess Burbank. She's going to be my lane. I will get you on the show soon. Kirstie Alley, Betty White, and the Queen. You got to fuck, marry, and kill one. Do I have to do all three to one of them, or each one of them there's a category assigned? All right, I think this is easy. I would kill the Queen, obviously. That's just so cool. I mean, it's not cool. It's not cool. It's a cool sentence to say. It's not cool to do. I don't advocate killing the Queen at all. Please, British TikTok, don't get mad at me for this or for this accent. Kirstie Alley, I would fuck, because she's a Scientologist, and you can't be married to a Scientologist, man. But wait, she's dead now too. Oh wait, and Betty White. All three of these are dead. Oh man. I'm going to retract my whole statement. That was very disrespectful of me. When did you start loving Seinfeld? I always loved Seinfeld when I was a kid. My dad was a wrestler when I was growing up, and he was also a DJ, so it was just a lot of money coming in my household. But he was a wrestler, so when I was a kid, my parents weren't really together a lot. So I went on my dad on the road with my dad and listened to comedy albums. And as a kid, I memorized all of these albums from like Seinfeld and Richard Pryor and George Carlin and Red Fox. But the only person who I really understood the material they were talking about was Jerry Seinfeld. And I think that was also because the show was on the air when I was a kid, or the end of it was on the air for the first time, but then the reruns have been on my whole life. And then Seinfeld was just always, it was embedded in me. High school, especially when I got into comedy. Like I would leave work, I would leave school around 2, be at work till about 5, walk home, and then from 6 to 8 p.m. it would be Seinfeld time, because that's when it was on at TBS. And I would drink a Coors Light, 3 or 4 of them, at like 17, 18. What an animal, watching Seinfeld drinking Coors Light. But it had some effect on me, obviously. We wear your King Kong costume when we tour the Empire State Building with Tori and me. This is from our German listener, Christine. I really got to stop doing the accent thing. It's not good at all. Will I wear the King Kong costume? No, because I used to work at the Empire State Building as King Kong. You may have heard me talk about this on the show. And then I quit, and they replaced King Kong with a gorilla robot. Not a real gorilla. Sorry, my brain kind of went off there. What is my... why don't I do podcasts every week? We do. We were off for a couple of weeks. Tori was traveling and I was traveling, and I didn't have any in a can. But here we go. We're back, baby. Podcasts every week. We'll be back to 2 a week soon as well. Next week we're gonna hopefully have 2 episodes a week for it. But Tori's out of town this week, and I was out last week. Now we're back in sync. So this is the Thursday episode. Monday's episode, Tori and I will be back. I love you. I love you too. Thank you very much. Biggest regret in life? Not believing in myself sooner, I would say. A lot of the videos that I've connected with people online, I sat on for years, but maybe it just wasn't the right time. You just gotta throw stuff to the wall, see what sticks sometimes. Favorite Star Wars movie? Empire Strikes Back, baby. That's not only the best Star Wars movie, but one of the best movies of all time. Favorite Seinfeld episode? The Contest. You can't beat The Contest. That episode not only changed that show's history, but changed sitcom history. All right, I gotta wrap this up here. We got about 9 minutes left. Let me see if I could speed through these ones. You have to pick one movie. You have to pick one movie reality live in for the rest of your life. Which one is it? Oh shit. That sucks because movies aren't all fun and games, but I guess neither is life. I'm just going to think of the first movie that I saw recently. What's coming to my head? The Menu. Damn, that's going to suck living in that every day. What kind of face creams do you use? I don't really use a lot. I do adrenochrome. I just drank the baby blood. Thoughts on putting ketchup on rice? Miss, you have to unfollow me and never talk to me ever again. How old am I? I'm in my late 70s. Is there a country you're dying to visit? What's on your bucket list? I'm dying to go to any country. I never left the United States. I don't have a passport yet, but I'm getting one soon, baby. Tea or coffee? I love both, and they love to make me shit. Not a question. I like that Kim hat. Thank you. I was a Kim Kardashian hat I had on when I posted this. I got it in Union Square last year. Beautiful little pop-up. I gotta find the name of it and post it for you. Do you think you use comedy as a defense mechanism? Are you running away from something? I don't know. Are you using that question as a defense mechanism? Are you running away from something? Are you deflecting a question? What do you think about that one, miss? Starbucks order. I sweat every time I go into Starbucks. I can't do it. It doesn't. It's just, I used to get a caramel macchi. I don't even remember. I got it one time. Starbucks doesn't do it for me. I'm a Dunkin' boy because I love to get my shit and get the fuck out. My social security number is R2D2. Come to the Philippines. I have to seriously cut back on my drug use if I'm going to do that, my friend. My favorite genre is music is Christian rap. Cut or uncut. Wow, these questions go from so deep to so horny. Can I be on the pod? Anybody could be on the pod. Talk about your weirdest dumping experience on the road. Size and smell matter. Wow, I'm glad this podcast is coming to an end right now. If you can eat an average sized pool of nachos for $100, would you do it? No, because I'd spend more money on toilet paper, man. How did you decide to be a comedian, and when did SNL call? I decided to be a comedian when I was in high school. SNL didn't call, but I did audition for them once. I was just always on stage. I always performed. I always loved comedy. And I lived in a town where a train went to New York, and I would start going to New York City. And once I saw that was possible, I was like, I want to do this as a career one day. And look at me now, making dozens of dollars on this podcast. Would you consider LASIK so you could wear one monocle? Hell yeah, dog. That's how I'm going to innovate next year and reinvent my career. Here's some nerd shit. The thoughts on the finale of Kenobi and Andor. Listen, I drank the Kool-Aid a little too quickly on Kenobi. Watching it the second time around, it was good, but it was good, but it could have been better. That was from Wonder Woman 84. Ugh. Which that whole universe is getting a reboot now, thank God. R.I.P. Zack Snyderverse. Finale Andor, fantastic. Andor itself was a great show. That should have been on TNT or HBO Max, but I can't wait for its second season. And you couldn't even think, I didn't even think I'd like it because you know everybody's going to die, but it added so much depth to the character. Fan cast of Doctor Doom. I'll tell you who. Me, goddammit. That's who I want to play Doctor Doom. Fools. Me, but if I'm not available that day, I would say Cillian Murphy, I think, would do a good job as well for Doom. Which song would you like to recommend to anybody that you know? All day today, Tutti Frutti by Little Richard has been stuck in my head. The wop bop a loo bop a wop bop bop. Oh shit. Okay, I have 4 minutes. This battery's gonna die. I want to get through some more of your questions. Also, if you're watching us on YouTube, please subscribe. We're almost at 100 subscribers, and please follow us on Bonding at Bonding Pod on Instagram as well. You voting for Yay 2024? That motherfucker's not even on my playlist anymore. You look like Pete. Wow, it took 26 minutes for us to get to that. Thank you. Did the heckler end up DMing you? Was she drunk? I love you. I haven't heard from her yet, but I hope she's around. Thoughts on going to Edinburgh next year? I would love to go to Edinburgh next year. I'm coming. When am I coming to Toronto? Hopefully coming to Toronto next year. Favorite cheese? Definitely not goat. Fuck goat cheese. Anybody that eats goat cheese can stop listening to this podcast right now because we don't fuck with goat cheese. Why is Paul Giamatti the best generation of our? Why is he the best actor of our generation? Well, underrated Paul Giamatti performance. Planet of the Apes, 2001 with Helena Bonham Carter. Watch it if you get a chance. That's one of my favorite movies. I'm going through a bit of a Planet of the Apes phase right now. If you could cosplay anyone, who would it be and why would it be Spider-Man? Spider-Man costume does not make me feel good about my body. I would cosplay as Herschel Walker. Am I going to Comic-Con? They released a restraining order on me. Do I collect Lego? Man, I can't afford any more obsessions, but that doesn't mean that I won't stop. Which one of your homies would you let hit? I have to stop reading these out loud. Okay, all right. Why do you call it running the elliptical? Do you call it running when you use the elliptical? If not, what do you call it? I call it cardio and running away from my problems, my friend. Even though you're right, I'm not running. But that's the podcast. This my cam is gonna die. I'm gonna answer some more of your questions on Instagram. Make sure you subscribe to wherever you're listening to. Thanks for hanging out with me for a little bit. I'll talk to you Monday. Have a good weekend, and don't be racist.